Our story begins many, many years ago in a land called Egypt. This was a land of fertile soil along the Great Nile River, but also a land where a large group of people, known as the Israelites, had been living for a long time. They were a community who had grown in number over generations. This is where our story unfolds, a story about a time of great change. Before the events we will focus on, the Israelites had lived in Egypt for hundreds of years. They had established communities and families, but their situation had become difficult. A new ruler, the pharaoh, saw their large numbers as a potential problem and decided to make their lives very hard, forcing them into difficult labor. Life was not easy for the Israelites. At this time, a very important leader named Moses stepped forward. Moses was an Israelite himself, but he had grown up in a unique way, connected to both the Egyptian royal family and his own people. He was known for his gentle nature and his deep sense of responsibility. Moses's main role was to listen to God and speak for God to the Israelites and to Pharaoh. For a long time, the Israelites had been working hard, feeling controlled and wishing for freedom. They were used to the routines of their lives, even with the hardships. They had been living under Pharaoh's rule for a long while, and the idea of leaving Egypt was a distant hope, but for now, things seemed to be the way they were. Then, something remarkable happened. God spoke to Moses. God instructed Moses that it was time for the Israelites to leave Egypt and journey to a new land. God also told Moses that Pharaoh, who had previously refused to let them go, would eventually pursue them. This instruction was a clear signal that a major change was about to begin. Following God's instructions, Moses gathered the Israelite elders and shared the message. He explained that they would be leaving Egypt. He then led the people out of their settlements. They packed their belongings and began their journey away from Egypt, a journey that was filled with both hope and uncertainty. As the Israelites traveled, they soon found themselves in a difficult situation. They had moved out into the wilderness, and behind them, they could hear the sounds of the Egyptian army approaching. They looked ahead and saw a vast expanse of water, the Red Sea, blocking their path. They felt trapped between the sea and the army of Pharaoh, who had changed his mind and was coming after them. In this moment of great concern, God spoke to Moses again. God told Moses not to be afraid and instructed him to stretch out his staff over the sea. Moses trusted God and did exactly as he was told. He raised his staff, pointing it towards the waters of the Red Sea, a simple act in response to a divine command. As Moses held his staff out, a truly amazing thing occurred. The waters of the Red Sea began to move. They parted, creating a dry path right through the middle of the sea. The water formed walls on either side, leaving a passage where the Israelites could walk safely. This created a way for them to escape the approaching army. With the path open, Moses led the Israelites forward. They began to walk, one by one, then family by family, across the dry ground in the midst of the parted sea. They looked around at the incredible sight of the water held back on both sides as they made their way to the other shore. It was a moment of passage and safety. Once the Israelites were all safely across the Red Sea, Moses was told to stretch out his staff again. When he did, the walls of water came back together. The Red Sea returned to its normal state, and the entire Egyptian army, which had followed the Israelites into the parted sea, was covered by the returning waters. The path was gone, and the army was no longer a threat. This event showed a powerful lesson. God is with those who trust in Him, even in the most challenging circumstances. When the Israelites followed God's instructions through Moses, they were delivered from danger. God's power made a way for them to escape when there seemed to be no other option, demonstrating that faith can lead to deliverance. The Israelites continued their journey into the wilderness, now free from their pursuers. They had experienced a miraculous act of deliverance, a moment that would be remembered for generations. Their journey continued, but they carried with them the knowledge that they had been guided and protected through an extraordinary event.